Cognitive neuroscience. The brain as a predictor, not a passive receiver. Human experience feels immediate and certain. We hear sounds, taste, flavors, and respond to a world that seems undeniably out there. We assume that our senses deliver reality to us as it truly is. Yet, cutting-edge research in cognitive neuroscience reveals a startlingly different picture. The brain does not simply receive the world, it actively constructs the world. Rather than being a passive observer, the brain is a prediction engine, continuously guessing what's out there and using sensory data only to correct and refine its best guesses. This insight is supported by decades of research and refined in recent years by thinkers such as Anil Seth, Carl Friston, and Andy Clark. Fundamentally changes how we understand perception, consciousness, and reality itself. In this essay, we explore how the brain builds the world from sensory data, why qualities like color and sound do not exist out there, and the deep implications of viewing perception as controlled hallucination, a continuously updated internal model shaped by prediction and correction. From sensory input to predictive processing. When we talk about perception, our intuitive model is a bottom-up one. Light enters the eyes, sound waves strike the eardrum, odors bind to receptors, and the brain simply records these inputs to recreate the world. This view, rooted in early psychology, assumes that senses provide complete and direct representations of the external environment. However, biological systems work differently. Our sensory organs do not capture the world in high fidelity. Instead, they gather partial, noisy, and ambiguous data. Photons, pressure waves, chemical signatures, and vibrations. The raw signals transmitted to the brain are far from rich, fully formed pictures. Electrical impulses coursing along neural pathways are patterns of activation, not literal snapshots of reality. Rather than waiting for sensory data to assemble a coherent picture, the brain generates an internal model, a dynamic, probabilistic representation of the world, and continuously updates it in response to incoming signals. This framework is known as predictive processing. At the heart of this model is a radical idea. Perception is inference. The brain does not passively reflect the world. It predicts it. It anticipates what the senses will receive, then compares these predictions with actual sensory input. Mismatches generate prediction errors, which drive further adjustment of the model. In this way, perception becomes a cycle of prediction, comparison, and correction. Controlled hallucination, the brain's best guess. One of the most evocative ways of framing this process comes from Anil Seth, a leading cognitive neuroscientist who describes perception as controlled hallucination. Perception is not the world itself, but the brain's best guess about what's out there. Consider vision. Light reflecting off a red apple does not contain redness as an inherent property. Physically, there are only wavelengths of electromagnetic radiation. Color is not an intrinsic property of the world, but a quality that the brain assigns based on how certain wavelengths stimulate photoreceptors and how past experience has taught the brain to interpret those patterns. The same principle applies to sounds, tastes, and tactile sensations. Without a brain to interpret them, these raw signals would remain meaningless. They only become experienced through the brain's predictive modeling. Friston and the free energy principle, the mathematical scaffolding behind predictive processing, has been developed most notably by Carl Friston. Biological systems strive to reduce prediction error, the difference between expected sensory input and actual input. Action and perception are two sides of the same coin. Consciousness and qualia, the subjective qualities of experience, called qualia, such as the redness of red or the bitterness of coffee. Evidence from neuroscience and psychology. Predictive processing is not just a philosophical idea. Implications beyond science. The predictive nature of perception reshapes how we think about ourselves and our place in the world. Conclusion: living in a constructed world, the brain docenti give us a literal picture of the world. Experience is not a mirror of the world but a window shaped by expectation and evidence. If you enjoyed this journey into the mind, please like this video and subscribe for more content that explores the frontiers of science and consciousness.